All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Learning Discussions on the DeFi Academy channel, where we talk all things DeFi. Hope everyone is keeping safe. And today we'll be discussing governance for Omm with DK and the Omm Monks. For those of you who have not been following the channel, this is actually our second segment on governance. We did one where we interviewed DK and Scott. So I will provide the link when the recording of this session is shared, so you guys can catch up. Unfortunately, we couldn't get all the monks today since everyone is spread out all over the world in many different time zones. So thank you, DK and the monks, who couldn't join us today. Thank you very much for joining us. Guys, this is a very important discussion because whilst the first hurdle of the launch is out of the way, governance is the next area of focus for the protocol. So it's very important for us. A lot of important things that we want to discuss today. And also, this is also very informal. So if any of the community members has any questions or anything to say, just raise your hand and join in at whatever point of the discussion you may feel comfortable with, or you may feel the need to. Yeah. So DK, thank you for joining, and can you just maybe start off, maybe you can talk about the concept of monks and how this role came about.
Sure. So I think, in a DAO, typically, you definitely want some of the more active community members. So I kind of consider monks as like the ones who are more active, proactive community members. This was like basically done through like initial applications where basically people kind of shared what they wanted to work on or how they wanted to contribute. So I would consider them as like proactive contributors to the Omm protocol within the community.
Okay. And maybe guys, maybe we can introduce each other. Introduce yourselves, maybe for the community kind of to get to know us a bit better. Maybe we can start with Budweiser.
Yep. Hi guys, happy to be here. So yeah, just I suppose without giving my life story, just a little background on myself. So I've been in crypto since 2017. My username, which people are always asking me, do I love Budweiser? No, I'm not a massive fan, to be honest. It actually started as a gamer tag. I've had it for the last 10 or 15 years, and I use it pretty much on every platform. But yeah, just in terms of, where I am in terms of crypto. So as I said, I've been in crypto since around 2017. Icon is something, I've always been very interested in. And during particularly the bear market was pretty rough, but I found I was very active on Reddit and Twitter, particularly on the Hello Icon subreddit. So James from Icon Nation had reached out to me asking if I wanted, to have more active involvement as a mod over there. So that was about a year ago, and it's kind of spiraled since then. I've kind of delved deeper and deeper, really into the Icon community. It's really drawn me in. They're a great community. So yeah, I mod for the Hello Icon subreddit. I was involved in setting up the Balanced subreddit and the Project Nebula subreddit. Involved in a few different betas, like testing CPS, getting Project Nebula up and running. A few other things like Icon DAO as well have a community platform, so I was involved in a lot of testing of that and reporting bugs in that. So particularly with Balanced, I was really excited with Icon DeFi getting up and running. So I was using Balanced from the day of launch, and I've been very active over there, modding both in their Telegram and Discord, but also I'm probably primarily myself and James would be kind of the go-to admins over on the subreddit. So basically when I saw Omm was close to launching, I saw the application forms for the monks, and I was very eager to get involved. So really, my involvement as a monk would be helping out, obviously, in the Discord, but also I've set up a subreddit for Omm, because there is users and community members that aren't quite as keen on Discord or Telegram, so it's a nice place for people to be able to, write more detailed kind of articles, or, well, some of them are nearly articles, the length of them, just in terms of, setups or strategies that they're using with Omm. So hopefully I'm going to build that out. I think at the moment there's about 150 members already.
Okay.
But yeah, hopefully that'll continue to grow.
Cool.
So that's kind of a bit about me.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Budweiser. What about you, Stephen? I think I know you well, but I think the audience really needs to know you as well.
Yeah, I've not been very visible. I think the past few years within the icon community, just involved on Twitter. I've been in crypto after the peak of 2017, so I didn't catch that one, unfortunately. I was building my position within icon during the past few years, as from mid 2018. And I was also a first day user of Balanced and Omm, and I'm very interested in the DeFi. I see a bright future also for the icon ecosystem. And I've been involved with answering the questions regarding Omm, and through doing that in the channel here, I've became a monk, and helping out Arash as well with the DeFi Academy. And we have been talking about it, and now to further evolve it, and we see a role in doing that, focusing also on BTP partners. So this is something that I will be focusing on more also in the future, to see what the cross chain opportunities are, and reaching out to other communities, having them speak to our community, and from our end also go and speak to their communities. So I think this will be the role that I will be playing.
Okay. Well, what about yourself, Poopster?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, guys. Y'all may not know me. I'm actually somewhat new to the whole Icon ecosystem. I come from the Ethereum ecosystem, and I got into crypto in 2018. I did at that time. I started just dollar cost averaging into some things like Ethereum and Bitcoin, as well as Icon, and a couple other VeChain, things like that. Chains where I saw potential for growth and development. And anyway, so yeah, I became really involved in the DeFi ecosystem in Ethereum. And from there, it's just kind of grown. So I branched out I'm involved with just about any ecosystem you can imagine if they have DeFi applications on it. Like I said, I started out as a yield farmer, but at this point, I've grown to become. I currently work as a biz dev for Harvest Finance, which is a yield aggregator on Ethereum. I also work closely with UMA Protocol, Badger, several others. But I hope to be able to do the same thing kind of here in this ecosystem as well, kind of help with some business development, be an ambassador for the ecosystem and the projects here, help form partnerships and collaborations, things of that nature. Really excited to see the ecosystem growing here on Icon, and happy to help out any way I can. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Fantastic. So you wear several different hats within the DeFi ecosystem. Good job.
Yeah, and I'm involved in a ton of DAOs, so really, really, really excited about the growth of these small DAOs. Like watching watching like Omm and Balance kind of grow has been really awesome, and so yeah, really excited to be a part of this.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for the introduction. Well, I'm the host of the DeFi Academy channel, so hope you guys over the last, I think, 7-8 weeks have got to know me a bit. Yeah, I'm just my role is pretty much is to bring content and really provide information on DeFi, and basically to help to be a learning resource for the community members, and hopefully kind of bridge the protocol to the community and make it a really community thinking protocol. So yeah, that's pretty much my role. Towards the questions, that's the first question I really want to ask DK, and I'm sure everyone is also eager to know, DK, how far are we in terms of going live with on-chain governance?
Well, I mean, so I think that's like kind of being focused right now at this point, now that the launch has gone somewhat smoothly. So hopefully within the next few weeks is the plan.
Okay. So what I really want to talk about is obviously until on-chain voting goes live. If there are any proposals or anything that the community needs to really vote on and bring about change in, how should we really look at it, and how can we implement that kind of framework? Obviously, off-chain would be the kind of go-to solution, but do we really have any solutions, guys, in terms of an off-chain system? Because I know Snapshot is probably not something that we can go for because it's on Ethereum. And the other option, I guess, is kind of doing a poll or something bit more casual. But I don't know whether that sends out the right message, or whether it's not formal enough for a protocol level, or whether it has the right checks and balances kind of thing. What do you guys think?
I think until the proper on-chain governance is set up, I think, if there's anything that needs to be done, probably a poll on Discord may be sufficient. I've seen that happen for other projects as well. So for more of a casual topics, I feel like that can be done on Twitter, Discord.
Okay.
No, I think we have seen some backlash on Telegram for the balanced topic before, but that was not really a casual one. It had more impact, and there was a lot of backlash of people not finding it a good solution, and they wanted on-chain vote. So I think it really depends on the topic you want to vote on.
I think I think getting to a point to where you're at on-chain voting is very difficult, and for any DAO that's just starting out, it's a huge task. I went through this with Badger Protocol, and so I think that I do like DK's idea of like kind of let's use the Discord, let's use the resources we have, to kind of gauge where things lie. But I agree that like on-chain governance should of course be like our goal and where we're headed and where we want to get to. But it's going to take some time to get to that point. And I think that people just need to realize that. And that's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, and DK also mentioned it as well in the Discord chats as well, that the first priority is stabilizing the protocol and make sure everything is working smoothly and there's no bugs, and then the next step, I guess, is governance. So I think we really need to wait until the protocol really smoothens out, I guess. The next point I really want to touch on is What type of governing voting structure would you like to see implemented for OMM? I mean, existing governance token voting structures, has its drawbacks. More recently, Vitalik also referred to the problems in coin voting mechanisms. Can we actually do tweaks to token voting that can help to alleviate the drawbacks, or should we look at a complete different model, like say proof of participation, where you can get more people voting, you get more voting power based on how active you are as a participant in the protocol. What do you guys think? You think because I personally I think proof of participation and stuff, like I don't know whether we have the technology within the Icon ecosystem to right now to go ahead with that. Proof of person thing, but I think proof of participation is maybe poops that maybe through a POAP we can look at something like that as well. But what do you guys think in general? Maybe DK on the point of tweaking the voting coin voting structure.
Yeah, so I think I agree right now there's like no straightforward answer for governance right now. And I think no solution is perfect yet. I think the integrating the participation badges or whatnot into the voting structure is interesting. But obviously adding that is going to take more time in general. So I think it also depends on how quickly do you want the governance versus like how complete do you want it to be. So it is a combination of all that, and there's like pros and cons of different approaches, I would say.
Yeah, because what I really was like kind of like was thinking about is actually thinking about it, and like maybe like we can like I think delegation is something that we can really look at, like because for people who's kind of new to the ecosystem and who really doesn't really know how to use a vote for certain proposals. I think the Icon ecosystem has, we already delegate, votes, through obviously P-reps and things like that. So I think that's a concept that is something natural to the ecosystem to Icon. So maybe somewhere down the line when you have committees and things that managing DAOs and stuff, maybe we can delegate some of the votes through that mechanism, or maybe even P-reps. I don't know. Maybe that can help with some of the drawbacks of coin voting traditional coin voting structures.
Yeah, I don't know. A delegation is interesting. I think there are pros and cons there. I think we just want more active participation, and we've seen that happen with Bounce. So I think once it becomes more of a delegation structure, I think a lot of people become care less about governance, is how I see it. If you look at bigger protocols like on DeFi, on Ethereum, like you see double-digit governance participation versus something like Bounce, which is like 4-digit participation. So I don't know what the right answer there is. But I do think it seems, at least early on, it probably makes sense to encourage people to participate in governance directly. Is probably the best route. But we can kind of discuss as a community what we feel is right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, what do you think in terms of?
Yeah, I've got some I'd like to propose there. Actually, has there been any thought of using Snapshot?
Yeah, but I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think.
Yes, Snapshot. I'd love to have it, but I think again with the POA pulp as well, like a lot of these infrastructure tools that are available on Ethereum are not available on Icon.
No, I understand, but I don't. Yeah. I think that we could probably get a plugin for that. I think that if we wanted to, we could probably pursue that. I don't know how much work that would be, but I'm happy to investigate if the community or whatever thinks, if we think that's a good option.
Yeah, go for it.
Yep, you can always try it out.
Yep.
Yeah, because they're giving grants and stuff. In fact, they were just involved in the Gitcoin hackathon. I should have. If I'd have paid more attention, there's so many hackathons going on right now. There's so many opportunities to make to win
but
some.
I think what we need
Yeah.
to Poops, I think also we need to kind of be aware also what Balance went through, because the community really wanted an on-chain mechanism. So I don't know whether
Mhm.
Snapshot would I don't know, will it
No.
with the
Yeah.
community kind of
Yeah. It's not on chain. No, you're right.
yeah.
It's not on chain. I was just thinking for kind of a medium term solution, but yeah. Anyway, I'm happy to investigate and see if maybe that's possible for us.
Yeah, cool. I think a lot of these governance tools that's existing on infrastructure, on Ethereum ecosystem, like we don't need to invent new wheels. It'd be great if we actually can reutilize those. I've talked to a few of them previously. A lot of them are not compatible with Icon because it's not an EVM compatible chain. I mean, you were in the discussion with the Pope guys, right? So it usually goes into the same discussion where, oh, are you guys EVM compatible?
Mhm.
It's not, and then basically then it takes a lot more resource to actually
Sure.
get things integrated, and then kind of the discussion usually stops there. Yep.
And that's understandable.
Yep.
So DK, it's not decided yet. Then I gather that Omm is going to go into the exact same direction as how Balance is doing the governance at the moment.
Right now, that's kind of the route I think we're going to go. Yep. Just given, I think Balance governance is pretty successful, so probably no need to also reinvent the wheel there. But yeah.
But and also what DK also mentioned, I would like to see maybe proof of participation kind of amalgamator later down the line. That could be something cool.
Yeah, I think if we can have, interesting one that can evolve from V1 after having this token-based governance is to have like a, maybe have like a different weight of token-based plus like these participation badges, for example.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yep.
I mean, it's working very well with Balanced, in my opinion. So that, as we were saying there, there's no point to reinvent the wheel.
True.
Obviously, I think until it's on chain, it's probably, as we mentioned there, only if there's more casual decisions to be made. Obviously, if it's something like a vote for tokenomics being changed or something, that needs to be on chain, because obviously on the likes of Discord, Telegram, then you're talking about it could be manipulated potentially. And obviously there's going to be people that don't agree. So yeah, I think for a couple of weeks it should be fine.
Yeah, I think that's why I think when the balanced initial vote went off on off chain, the poll, I think some community members were kind of not comfortable with it doing it off chain. Yeah,
which is fair. Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think about limited governance in terms of the protocol says we're just starting off, but we will only limit it to certain things that can be changed via vote. Uniswap does that. And I guess we can. Is there something, DK, that you guys are looking at, or is it just open and anyone who can enforce a proposal can do so?
So you're asking who can propose a proposal, right?
No, in terms of maybe like a limited governance structure where exactly like where there's only limited things that can be changed through a voting mechanism.
So you're asking what is limited?
No, as in are you guys going to look at like from protocol level saying the community can only vote on certain things or can change certain things of the protocol at the start?
I mean, I think like obviously the community will decide, but I think within reasons everything is changeable through governance. I mean, it's different discussion whether it's like good for the protocol to go through all these different changes, and all these changes are necessary better for the protocol, but that's I think for the community to discuss in general. Yep.
Got it. I really want to kind of move the discussion to kind of governance proposals. So ideally, you want the Omm token, obviously to have more utility, beyond governance, and give more reasons for users to hold it. So having a stake in a DeFi protocol obviously does not seem to be enough nowadays amongst DeFi users. what additional, what would you like to see for the Ohm token, that will give more reasons to hold it? One of the community members, a shout out to Big Ben, he mentioned it. I think he put it very well in one of the Discord channels, the Ohm Discord channel. He said, we need to give Ohm holders every reason to keep holding. We already have staking pools, governance, voting, which is coming soon, and so he was kind of wanting to know whether we could look at passing on some of the network fees to Ohm holders, burning Ohm, and also he was looking at obviously lending and borrowing of Ohm. What do you guys think of? Maybe we can start with burning of Ohm, or what do you guys think? Is it too early to think about burning tokens?
Just in general, I think my guidance would be kind of look at what are some of the best protocols out there are doing, and then following their guidelines, I think are good. I would say probably Uniswap and Compound are like some of the leading protocols in the space, and DeFi in general, right?
Yeah.
And then you kind of see what they're doing with their governance tokens is kind of, I think, kind of the good baseline to have, which is mostly used for governance right now for the protocols, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, there are things that can be explored furthermore, but I think that actually puts a risk onto the protocol as like more things are done with the governance tokens. So that's just something to keep in mind. I would say, like, I know people want a lot of things to be done with the governance tokens, but they have to understand that as that happens, that does put these governance tokens at more risk.
Yeah.
And the protocols, yep.
Yeah, and personally, I don't know whether burning tokens at this early stage, because it kind of also sends a wrong message to an investor, because obviously someone looking in then says, okay, fine, if you're looking at burning, especially governance tokens, you're like kind of sending a message that we don't have very much other utilities, so you're kind of putting in burning, which is probably can be counter. People might just actually sell it because there should be more utility than just burning tokens. Maybe something later on that can be looked at. Yeah, I think that's. Well, what are your guys' thoughts on borrowing and lending of Ohm? I'm okay with kind of providing it as collateral, but that's I think that's something that's a good utility to have. But I think borrowing again, using Ohm to borrow, I don't know whether, I mean, borrowing Ohm is that something that I don't know if that's something that is a useful thing.
I think it can be useful, but mostly for also for peer reps, for example. If people are willing to lend out their own, peer reps are a potential very interested party to do the borrowing. I think because in turn they will be able to self vote and they will receive additional peer rep rewards. So there will already be a demand for that. What I also think would be an interesting use case for Ohm staking is to maybe instead of, for example, like Balance is doing a fee share, it might also be another approach, an interesting one, which is more applicable for Ohm than it would be for Balance, is to give better rates for lending and for borrowing for Ohm stakers, for example. It doesn't have to be a lot, but a small difference can already be a big difference. Can already mean a good incentive for staking Ohm.
So I think some people have brought that up a few times. So the interest rate themselves can probably be changed, but I think the Ohm rewards can potentially be I think changed a little bit based on how much Ohm you're staking. So I think the way the balance is doing with the lockups, I think the similar mechanisms can be probably done with Ohm as well, if that's something Ohm community would like to see first. Yeah.
Yeah, because I really like that concept as well, because also that's telling the protocol is telling the holder, okay, fine, if you're staking long term or if you're doing long term, these are the rewards you're going to get in terms of more rewards, things like that. So I think that's a good alignment of incentives for people thinking long term.
the question is, of course, doing this versus a fee share, is it sufficiently different to avoid the risks of, like DK said earlier? I don't know. Do you end up in the same category doing this, or is there still a difference?
Sorry, you mean sharing the fees?
Yeah, fee share versus giving better interest rates, and like you said,
Okay.
it's going to be probably have to be done via the Omm rewards and not via the interest themselves. But are you then? Is it sufficiently different for legal reasons?
Well, currently, I really like Omm kind of using the network fees going to the DAO fund. One thing, it helps diversify the asset allocation also within the DAO. So I'm not a huge fan of personally, that's my personal opinion, of network fees going to users. I think it's better served in the DAO fund, but each is to their own, I guess. But yeah.
And then my also sentiment is that like it's like in a growing like companies, and I'm more of a startup guy. Like a lot of startups don't pay fees back to their, I don't know, like Amazon didn't pay dividend to its like shareholders for so long, right? It's like,
Yep.
to me, like the fee sharing is kind of tricky. I mean, from a legal perspective, first of all, because it does kind of make these utility tokens, somewhat, potentially on the borderline. And then also, I think it's not a good use of those funds in general, right? Like, should it be just used for the growth of the protocol more so than just given out to the token orders, right?
Yep. It's true. Yeah, that's why. And also, your point also on Amazon and thing. I mean, the more you delay giving out, distribute it to the shareholders, the better you reinvest it, and the similar concept where the treasury, you beef out the treasury, and hopefully it'll be utilized for revenue and community engagement, which will kind of bring in more value for the token holder in terms of appreciation rather than short-term distribution network fees.
And regarding just going back on what you're saying about potentially providing an Omm as collateral or lending out, I think in the short term it's probably not the greatest idea. Just obviously, in the early days of any DeFi platform, obviously it's quite volatile. So you don't want your collateral going up and down with the markets. But in the mid to long term, I think that obviously would be something that'd be pretty cool to see. I suppose as well, just kind of off topic, we were mentioning there in terms of the DAO fund as well. That was one thing I think is great, that we do have 40% going to the DAO fund, because I think that was one thing that Scott at the time, he probably, now looking back, realizes it would have been better to have a larger percentage going to the DAO fund. So I think that's great to have there, particularly for the future growth of the platform. Obviously, there's going to be less sell pressure, but also just we'll have those funds there in the future for likes of bug bounties or incentive programs, or even the likes of if you look at Syntex, where they had 3 firms, venture capital firms investing, I think it was 10-12 million there in February. So the likes of something like that happening further down the line, having that capital there, I think in the long term is really going to stand to the platform. So yeah, personally, that's something I'm happy to see.
Well, what are your guys' thoughts on the actual Omm token distribution? I think we just briefly mentioned that.
Arash?
Yeah.
Arash, sorry, before you continue, I see Stephen Vinyl, one of our monks, raising his hand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, DK, sorry, you'll have to, I think you'll let him. I tried to, sorry.
Yeah, I invite him to speak. I don't think he's coming on stage yet. Yeah.
So another thing I was kind of want to talk about is on the Omm token distribution. I think we briefly mentioned that. Any changes you would like to see on the distribution front? or what do you guys think in terms of? Do you think the DAO fund is sufficiently um replenished with the 40%, or do you think there should be more? Or do you think there should be less um, going into it? What do you guys think? Oh, and also maybe on the network fees, is there something that you think we should pass it on? Obviously, network fees you spoke about, but what about the DAO fund?
I think just always having a good like war chest is good. And this is again like for Omm community to decide on where to use. So I think it'd be interesting to start seeing like where like these DAO funds are being used. Like one of the things I was talking to some of the monks was potentially having like when the governance thing is enabled, like have a vote go through a on chain and see if the community is okay having like a portion of the DAO fund as like a more of an operations fund for monks as like a multi-sig to basically operate for various activities I think are needed basically, right? For example.
Yeah, I'm largely really happy with the token distribution that's set out. I think it's a really good, really good.
I mean, balance had to go through a governance specifically to change that, right?
Yep.
So,
I think 40% is actually a huge allocation, and so like going forward, I think it's going to be very important for us to decide kind of how we manage that.
Yeah. My next section is my real focus is on the DAO fund. So
putting the horse before the
cart. The other point also, a very interesting thing also we need to look at, maybe the community needs to decide also was, so the early investors, footed the bill for the airdrop, for those who had provided liquidity for the ICX pool on balance. Stephen had suggested, that the DAO fund should reimburse the early investors, which I thought was a very good idea actually. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Sorry, who are the early investors? Are we talking about early contributors or?
Yeah. Sorry, early contributors. Sorry. Yeah.
The DAO can be used, but there will also be, I believe, a leftover from the unclaimed airdrops.
Yeah, sorry, from the unclaimed airdrops. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys thought? Maybe Poopster or DK? Maybe is there something that?
I think it'd be good. I mean, if there's, I think so. Right now, the way it's done is there is still some amount in the airdrop wallet that's to be claimed. So once those are all claimed, if they need more, I think early contributors will pitch in more. Obviously, it'd be a great gesture from the community if they were willing to basically give back early contributors for the amount that needs to be filled in. But I guess we can discuss about that when that does happen. I think we're like that. We should know by 25th if all these airdrops are claimed. So, yep.
I think it's a nice idea though, and it was a good decision as well from the early contributors because I know it's not a classic liquidity pool, but obviously, so I could see why they weren't eligible. But then at the same time, if you go over the balance, it's all over there where it says supply liquidity. It's referred to as a liquidity pool. So, when you talk to the balance team, from day one, they don't really refer to it as being a liquidity pool. But, it is a bit misleading over there. So it is nice that, they were still eligible. So I think it was great that the early contributors stepped in.
Yeah.
So, personally, if there was leftovers from the airdrop, well, just speaking for myself, I think that would be great if, the excess was allocated across. Obviously, if there is any, we'll see.
Yeah. Just echo the same sentiments. It was a great gesture by the early contributors. Yeah. On the point, obviously, Poopster made just a little while ago on the DAO fund. I think it's a very important point. There's there's 40% of the allocation going to the DAO fund. So there's a big responsibility. Obviously, the protocol is telling the community, this is the fund, this is a big fund, so use it wisely. So I think a lot of the conversation needs to revolve around how we manage the DAO fund, and more importantly, how the asset allocation is going to work, and maybe also investing on the treasury management side. How should first of all, on the asset allocation, how should we look at diversification? I think the network fee is going to DAO fund, helps with the diversification in the stable coins of USDS and IUSDC, so that helps. But maybe DK, obviously we can't have too much of allocation of Omm tokens, especially during a bear market and things like that.
Yeah, that's a tricky one, right? So because obviously we can't have Omm tokens from DAO fund being sold in the market, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That would be kind of weird dynamic. So probably like token swap seems to make more sense. So I mean, I haven't brought this up, but maybe token swaps with like balancing, for example. I think balanced DAO fund and Omm DAO fund, like swapping tokens, for example, I think can be an interesting idea there. And then, as you mentioned, I think protocol fees are helpful right now in terms of the diversification because it does accrue ICX and stable coins as well. So yeah, but it's a tricky one, and I haven't put too much thought into it, to be honest.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's important also to diversify, but also you can't really sell because it creates a sell pressure and things like that. But maybe also swapping with the P-reps with ICX and some, maybe it's something that can be also looked at. Maybe they may want to.
Well, it's also something that I proposed to Scott in an earlier discussion, and it is a way, for example, to at a small discount, making it available to stakers, to Omm stakers, buying more Omm from the DAO fund in return of for stablecoins, but you don't want the immediate arbitrage opportunity. Then so you have to be able to lock it for a certain period, of course. I think this might be a good way. I think there will be plenty of people interested in buying at a discount. Not worried about being it locked for a while, and then you do not really have the sell pressure.
Yep, that's also an interesting one. Yep.
Yeah. What about on the investment side? I mean, the other thing is also kind of when you're obviously doing about treasury management. I guess maybe the community needs to look at it like a maybe a committee kind of that oversees it, or I think that's important. Or how do you guys think about it?
I mean, I don't have too much opinion on that. I just don't know who would be the right person to even like look at different investment opportunities, and I'm just not sure how that will turn out. Maybe Poopster can share how it's done at Harvest, because I know Harvest is kind of a unique project where I think they carved out like part of the DAO fund to invest in different projects. I don't see that too often, to be honest, with other DeFi protocols. So I'd be curious to see how that's kind of working out for Harvest.
So yeah, actually, and this is just coming, like we literally just celebrated our year birthday, I think a week ago today. So just to give a little context of where we're at, we are just now like figuring out what it is we want to do with our treasury. So we've been doing some, so first off, Harvest is not a true DAO. Harvest Finance is the devs. We have anonymous developers who hold the keys. We do have things in place like time locks and whatnot. But yeah, so when it comes down to it, the developers have the final say in everything. And we understand that it's not the optimal situation, but it's just is how it is for now. We're working towards decentralization. But with that being said, yeah, I think it's, we've been doing some things with a lot of. We haven't started to diversify yet, and we really need to. But I think that through this first year of our launch, it's just been so busy that it kind of got put on the back burner. And so now, as things have kind of slowed down a little bit, and we have time to kind of assess the situation, yeah, it's become critical for us. And there's lots of things that we can do. Like, for instance, we've started making some NFTs to help support the DAO fund as well. So
cool. That's awesome. That's
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's within was the Ethereum NFTs, or as in
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we have we launched, actually. In fact, I screwed it up. We were supposed to launch it on our birthday, and I tweeted it out like 2 days earlier or something. But there's a series called Chad and Friends, I think, on OpenSea. Something like that, if I can find. Anyway, yeah. So we minted some NFTs as kind of a birthday celebration, and we listed them on OpenSea. And at some point in the future, so all that money went into the DAO fund, but at some point in the future, we'll use that for whatever it is that we need. So. Once again, we don't have it. We didn't promise any kind of utility. It's called Farmer Chad and Friends. Anyway, we'll use that money, and that's we didn't promise anything with these NFTs. All we did was issue some NFTs, but we do have the ability further down the line to add utility to these. So I think that's like another thing, just something we can do here. But like initially, I would suggest that the community comes up with something very basic. In the Ethereum ecosystem, many treasuries are doing something like the product that Bankless has offered. It's an index. It's called BED, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I guess DAI. Is that what it is? But yeah, so it's just I think that'll be key for us. And as we see more assets come into this ecosystem, we'll be able to diverse more as well. So I think that it's still very early for us, and excited to see kind of where this goes.
But I guess, do you want to share more about the investment stuff, perhaps? I think that was actually
Sure. Yeah. No, I tend to get. I tend to. So yeah.
Is there like a committee that manages it, or like in terms of puts
Sure.
forward proposals, or how does it work?
Great point. Okay. Yeah. Right. So as far as that, what we're doing right now is we've put together a group of our community members that would be similar to what the monks do, right? So we have several different roles in our community, but one of them is kind of like people who are working on our treasury management. So we've got, I think, about 10 members working with several different protocols at this point, like Index and UMA, and just to find the different kind of options we can use. So once we get something, a good idea of kind of what we want to do, we'll put that to a vote with our community using Snapshot. And if they feel like that's something that we want to move forward with, we'll kind of do like a temperature check, and then we'll get down to details, and the community will have a say in it, so it's going to be very much up to the community. But at this point, it's being designed by our community members. So if we have people here in the community who are, kind of financial minded and want to get involved and help out with stuff like that, awesome. We can definitely use it.
I'm curious, how does it work in terms of like actual investment? Are you guys investing with the farm tokens? And then if so, can they not sell those farm tokens for a while?
Right. Right. So here's, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, but basically what we're looking at is using, UMA has something called a range token. And kind of, it's kind of like a cover. I think it's like a covered. Anyway, what it allows us to do is we can use the farm in our treasury and borrow against it. And then whoever loans us the money will be collecting interest on their assets. And there's like capped upside and a capped downside. So it's called the range token. So basically, it just allows us to borrow against our assets without having to sell them. And there's several different ways you can do that. And that's what we're seeing most protocols doing these days, is trying to find ways that they can. If you've seen Sushi, they had a whole thing about it. They wanted to get $50 million from VCs, and the community didn't like that. They didn't want to sell $50 million of sushi up front to the VCs. They didn't want to do it. So they're in talks now about using some of these kind of options, like, where they can buy it, but only after the price goes up, right? So, I think that leveraging options will be key for like treasury management, so that we don't have to spend our own.
1,000% agree on that. Really agree. Yeah. But just also on the point of the investment side. So the committees and all that, obviously that was voted in by the community, or was that?
I'm sorry. Can you say it again?
Was that set up by the community in terms of voted in by the community, the community members, or do they change every year?
No, it was all community organized, right? So like I said, the devs had the final say in everything, but our developers are busy coding. And that's when I talk about DeFi and I talk about community, what I see our community's role, any community's role in a project is to allow their developers to have to do nothing but code, and that's it. So anything that we can take off the devs' hands and make their lives easier, make their jobs easier so they can concentrate on what they need to be doing, I think is the best route. So yeah, it's all community. It was community organized, of course. We knew that we had to do something about the treasury because it's just getting to that point where you can't keep selling your tokens. So, and you don't want to. So it was community led, and it still is.
The other aspect I really want to talk about is which is obviously very important to the community as well, is spending the DAO fund. How should we go about? I know it's very. I mean, it's not a good thing just because the funds are there. We need to go around spending it. But I'm just saying, how should we utilize it wisely, and what are the things that we should be really looking at in terms of spending that creates value for the protocol?
Sure. Yeah. And I think that's very important as well, like deciding what you're going to invest in. So personally, like, I think that a lot of different projects are taking kind of the 1/3 approach of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then a stable coin of some sort. But, personally, I don't. It'll be interesting to see. Like, I'm interested to see what the community thinks we should do there. Because it's going to be ultimately up to them.
True.
And but as far as like, there's tons of things you can do. You can leverage assets for farming. I mean, a lot of different protocols. If you look at Gnosis protocol, I think they've been farming.
In terms of actually, like, from the investment side, in terms of spending, it could be, I think we spoke about it a bit earlier. It could be about creating a fund for maybe devs outside the team, to anything that they can come up with the protocol for innovation. Maybe we can have something, things of that in terms of actually spending the fund, because at the end of the day, it's a DAO fund. One of the key objectives is to reward the contributors who create value for the protocol. So I would just maybe DK, maybe we can also and Stephen and Bubwise on that point as well of how we should look at what endeavors we should look at spending.
Yeah. Well, one, I suppose, for me, that kind of stands out, I suppose, it's just more the mechanism of how you go about it, really, would be bringing in other networks. So bringing in, like, people that use Ethereum DeFi applications. Obviously, Poopster's here, which is great. And on that aspect as well, I really liked with the airdrop that one of them was for using Ethereum DeFi applications like Compound, because it gets them interacting with the protocol and then seeing, well, I've just done a transaction, it's cost me a fraction of a cent. Like even over on Reddit, I saw a user that was just claiming an airdrop, but since they DM me saying I'm actually hooked now when I'm using it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if there's a means. Obviously, it's something that we could discuss in more detail. But to have a small portion of the DAO fund there as a means of bringing in more users from the Ethereum network or other platforms where the fees are higher, because even the UI, when people come over and use the likes of Balanced and Omm, like they're blown away by how user friendly it is compared to some of the other platforms out there. So these are things USBs that are really going to draw in new users. So I think at the moment, like a lot of the users obviously are, Iconists coming from the Icon network. But I think one of the biggest focus we really need to broaden out. Well, obviously with BTP, when Icon 2.0 comes out, I'm hoping obviously it's just going to go hand in hand, and we're going to start getting more users bridging across. But it would be nice to have some form of initiatives to. Sorry, go on ahead there.
No, sorry.
No, I was just saying, just with with Icon 2.0, around the corner, and potentially, once BTP is up and running as well, that potentially, there could be some form of initiative there where a small amount of funds are used as a means of trying to bridge more users across.
Yes, so you're essentially saying a bit more on the marketing side and to create awareness for people outside the community, outside Icon.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't want to be siloed,
True, that's true.
And actually, one other question I was going to ask DK there while he's on the call is, in terms of a forum, will there be a similar one to the Balance Forum where people can, propose different discussions or changes to protocol?
I think we'll probably follow like the Balance Forum, I think, for now. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And the other aspect here is obviously, reporting and transparency. I think that's very important in terms of that aspect. I know Scott mentioned in the interview last time about how they're looking at creating like so many KPIs and information so that people can see it also similar to what Omm is gonna be doing.
Well, so one thing at a time, right? Depending on what we think is important, there's resources like Balance has been out for like almost 3 months now. So really depends on what we want to prioritize on. We do have limited resources, and I think something to just let everyone know is that it'd be awesome if you have all the devs resource in the world to make everything happen instantly, but that's not the case, unfortunately. So with these things, it's always about like, what do we want to prioritize? Do we want to prioritize governance? Do you want to prioritize the stats page? Like it comes down to what we want to prioritize. Yep.
Cool. Just lastly, I think community engagement is also another aspect that the DAO can really help the protocol execute. And I know Poops, you're kind of looking at that aspect as well. Just looking at community engagement programs. What kind of things are can we really look at that from experience from other protocols that we can really that really creates a lot of engagement?
Yeah, so I mean, there's lots and lots we can do. I think just kind of getting started and building out just a simple community program to start here. Let's get maybe some bounties in place. Let's get we could do some small contests and things like that, just to get more people involved. So like one of the things we've done at Harvest Finance is we held the creativity contest, and we basically told our farmers, do something interesting, make a video, a song, a meme, whatever you want, do something cool, a painting, and they come up with all these great things. So, yeah, we've been running that contest. I think we've had it 8 times now, and we give out a ton of farm. But out of it, we found so many different artists and like people who are great at writing, publishing, creating content, and it's really created like a strong user base there amongst our community, and encourage like people to get involved. And what we like to, we're community powered there. We're completely community powered and community driven. So it's been really interesting to learn from that kind of experiment. And I do think that there's like a strong user base already here in the ecosystem. So I think just getting some small programs started would be the first step. And I've spoken with a couple of community members about proposing something like that. So I think that we should have something coming up here pretty shortly that will give like a little more detail to that kind of thing. But I'd encourage, like, if anybody wants to get involved, like, please reach out to us and let us know. Like, it's open to everybody. We want as much involvement and ideas from our community as possible.
Yeah, I know there's quite a few community members, on the call at the moment. I think some of the continuing the members who are quite active on this. I think Donnie, there's Soul Game as well. Any thoughts, guys, on any questions that you have for the panel and for the monks? Anything that and for DK on the governance front. Any questions? Please shoot away.
I guess question for Poopster. Is that kind of the thing that you were talking about coming out soon? I was actually wondering about that now that you mentioned it.
What's you're talking about wait, what are you talking about, DK? You mean the contest or
the contest? Yeah, you talked. Yep.
Yeah. So I know I had pitched around the idea of maybe doing a small like kind of NFT design contest for us, or even like a maybe a sticker pack or some emojis for Discord, some small things like that. I think would be really cool. I think it would be neat to, like, I don't know, like if anybody else has any more ideas and wants to help me brainstorm on this, I could use the help. My bandwidth is somewhat limited, but yeah, I think it would be cool. Maybe, or I don't know. I mean, there's tons of stuff I think that we could do, but yeah, I would start out with like are there any other logos that we need? Is there any more like artwork? Could we use some stuff for social media, branding and things like that? So I think my initial idea was around a POAP, but seeing as we're not going to really be able to implement that just yet, I don't know, something along the lines of like an NFT created by the community. Thoughts and ideas are welcomed.
No, I think that's a good idea. Is that something that's coming out soon? Or I know you were like talking about like potentially like writing out a tweet or something.
Yeah. Right? I was writing a draft of it up, and I do have something that I'll be ready to present probably tomorrow.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Brilliant.
Looking forward.
Yeah, so I'll offer that up to the community, and we'll get some thoughts about it, and hopefully some people will pitch in with some ideas, and we can get something going. It's gonna be cool.
I think the NFT idea is a good one, and also relevant to what is living in the community at the moment. Organizing, for example, a contest and rewarding the person who creates the winning design, then maybe you can use that design and decide a limited amount of those to be issued, and then create another contest for with tasks, maybe by using Omm. On people winning those limited amount of NFTs.
Oh, I like that idea. Maybe like kind of like Zappers do them, where they have the one where you check in every day, and then if you provide liquidity, you get 100 points, or if you make a trade, you get 100 points or something like that. They have and they're using NFTs in that kind of fashion as well. It just promotes like more interaction, and so I think that's really cool. We could also look at like even making like a generative art project out of it. Kind of like you said. I think that the possibilities are limitless, and would love to see our community like do something like that. So, like I said, I'll present a more concise idea. But like, if anybody else has ideas or wants to pitch in, please ping me on it or post something in the Discord server and let us know.
It started. I think people will start adding ideas, and then we can probably, I think, like what is it? Like probably revise it afterwards after community kind of put some feedback there.
Okay, that's my action item. Then I'll commit to that.
Yeah, I love the NFT idea as well, because obviously everyone can relate to an NFT nowadays, especially in the in the crypto space. So I think that will create some good engagement. Yeah, that's good. So I mean, guys, any questions? Please feel free to ask. DK, I just want to ask, towards the end, like in terms of, where as a community, like on the governance front, what are the next steps in terms of anything that the monks or the community kind of can help out, or anything to look forward to in the short term, the next couple of weeks on the governance front?
I think what is it? We can, while the governance infrastructure is being built, we can start having discussions at the governance channel about what are some proposals that we'd like to see initially. I think those discussions probably take some time as well, so it'll be good to kind of get started on the discussions and just understand like these governance changes all need like some sort of smart contract works as well. So like as I said earlier, we wish we had all the developers capacity, but we don't. So it is like one at a time. So it's also important to like, once we have discussions, I'm sure there will be multiple discussion points, and then it'd be like community as a whole should decide like what comes as a priority, and that should be like what should come out first as a proposal, because most likely the implementation will be based on like which proposals come first, and those obviously take time. And if the first proposal takes 2 months, for example, then a dev won't be able to work on anything else for 2 months, basically, right? So
cool. So community members, whatever things that you want to see, please shoot away on the governance channel, and let's start the discussions, and I guess let's move forward with taking the first steps towards governance. Donnie has a question. Hi, Donnie. Is Donnie there? Hi, Donnie.
Hey, what's up? How's it going, guys? I might have missed some of the previous ideas, but maybe a good idea would be to like maybe get some community members who who know how to make yield, right? Who have the biggest percentage of gains, like start sharing some of their percentages that they're making on Twitter. Like incentivize people who want to make money to come check out Omm. Obviously, some people can't talk about price and all that good stuff, but there are others, as long as it's not financial advice, we can start sharing some of the different strategies and just play to people's greed and them to come see check out the protocol, check out Omm, check out balance. Also, we can do like maybe a giveaway for those who come up with the best strategies, and maybe they get an NFT or a badge, or like the best monk, or like the guy who gets we can gamify it in a way that we can give them a badge for coming up with some of the best strategies, and then we still share with the icon community and other communities, and then bring in people who are just looking for that. They're just all DeFi, all looking to farm, and they're jumping from Terra to Solana and now Phantom and all those things. I think that'll be a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's. Sorry, your first part, I wasn't quite clear in terms of. You mean farming strategies, or?
Yeah, like farming strategies, or just learning how to like create yield with assets, stuff like that. I mean, like small tutorials like that. I mean, obviously, not all of us can talk about price. I mean, I'm referring to like Daki and stuff like that. But for those of like, I like them when I see them on the Twitter threads about like how someone can create yield. It makes me automatically interested, and I go check out the I go check out the site or I go check out the protocol itself and play around with it. It's just a way so I can retweet it, everyone else retweet it, and then obviously like the interest. I mean, the farming numbers will go down, but at the same time, we create awareness for Omm and balance and further future projects.
Yeah, in terms of that's a good point. I think maybe the DeFi Academy can help out, not help out, but maybe we look at kind of yield farming strategies. Maybe Stephen, we can also look at that as well.
Yeah, it is a possibility. So far, we haven't gone into detail because there are so many different and also dependent on the risk tolerance of people.
Yeah.
And also cross not only Omm but balanced. So we would have to really narrow the scope, I think.
True.
Yeah. There's not a lot of like strategies at present just because of the lack of assets. But I've already been tweeting some kind of stuff like that. I think what's more important is just kind of like user education, and like there's a way that you can display your APYs and things like that, but also like make it informative and educating. So I think like what you're saying to using Twitter as far as that type of content is a really great idea. And so like one of the things that we're working on in some of the other projects that I'm working with is actually getting like a community Twitter handle. So it's not actually, like you say, like Daiki might not be able to tweet a lot of this stuff, but if you had a community handle, be it like, like if the monks had their own Twitter handle, you know what I mean? A community-based Twitter that can represent our project without directly representing it, I think is kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, that's interesting about the community Twitter account, actually.
Yeah, I think that's also something that monks can do, because monks are not direct team members. We are community members, so we have more leeway than certain than the direct team members have. I think in communicating about price and strategies and.
Hi, Stephen. My name. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Poops. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, that would be like another just kind of something I would like propose as like a part of our like community program, kind of getting a couple people to run like a community-led monks account on Twitter, and maybe 2 or 3 people could contribute to that as well, or whoever wants to, I guess. And we could just tweet out like interesting stats and stuff like that. Engage, get some engagement going on social media. I think would be great.
And then, how do you see it? Do we do it with a DeFi Academy under that flag, or do we create a specific Monks flag?
Yeah, I would go with. You could use either, really. I think either would be fine.
Yep.
I think we just need to decide like what we want to, what do we want it to be, and I think any of them's fine. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Donnie, for your input. That was great. Thanks.
Yeah, great ideas.
Yeah, just one last thing before I have to get going. Like you guys were saying, if anyone follows Celsius, we don't have to do something similar like that, but I mean, all their community members post that they get paid every Monday, and then that it kind of becomes like viral. We have a different product, obviously, and then when I say we, it's Omm and Balance, but something similar like that, where like community members are proud of being part of the community, and they, and it becomes like the network effects are great because I see it's all over my feed every Monday. Everyone like is gloating about like how Celsius is doing right by them. Anyway, guys, that's my last final thought. I have to get going to work. You guys.
Yeah, by the way, talking about NFTs, I think it wasn't your girlfriend's into NFTs, right? I see you on. Is that correct, Donnie?
No, that's not my girlfriend. I think that's another community member's.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Girlfriend. Yeah, don't get me in trouble now. Yeah, it's Hondorf, I think her name is,
Honda.
and she's someone else's girlfriend. Anyway, guys, I really got to get running.
Sorry
I'll talk
about
to you
that.
guys later.
I think we have someone else here looking to ask a question as well.
Yeah.
Conca 7.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hi.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Going good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. First of all, congrats, Guy, on the work that you guys are doing here. It's really amazing to experience this from the beginning with you guys. So I appreciate the effort that you guys are putting into this.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot.
Yep. So second, I worked very closely in the past 2 years with the Chili's network. Are you guys familiar with Chili's?
Yep. The sports tokens. Yeah.
Yeah. So these guys, this guy has there are two things into marketing, right? One is getting customer, and the other one is retaining the customer. So in the retention piece, Chili's went the route of doing gamifications, which is, I know you guys talk about it. That's why I raised my hand. Which they basically they give people points basically for trading, for voting into the teams. They have random polls about team players and things like that. So they do different activities to continue engaging the people that are already there. And I cannot say more, more greater things about that, because I think their engagement rate is over 70% of people coming into the app every 12 hours, which is amazing. Having 70% of your existing customer coming back every 12 hours, I think that's unheard. But they are doing it that way. And I think that's great. I know it's a different chain, it's a different, different product, but it's the same thing. I mean, I'm a DeFi farmer by heart. It's my main income source. And if I have to come back to my protocol daily to get something, I would do it. At least right now in ETH, on my geo farming, I just go to it like whenever the gas is lower than 50. If the gas is not lower than 50, I'm not even look at it because it's too expensive to get the rewards.
True.
But since you guys, like for example, BSC, Solana with Ray, and Icon, on any of these protocols that have low fees to get your rewards, I will come back any time of the day if you are giving me something in return, or if I'm gaining something like getting points or getting. So I know you guys, the main problem right now is getting customer on the door, but I mean, if you guys build something in the back end, at least to get the effort, the front end effort, whenever you guys start developing something to get people on the door, in order to get them, to keep them there, to retain them, I think gamification is something that nobody talk about it, but it's the way to go. And I use Chili's as an example because I work with the team, especially in the Spain headquarters, and it's amazing. It's something that works pretty good.
Yeah,
That's I really like.
Sorry, yeah.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think on Chili's, I think that's a very, it's a social token. I guess obviously sports teams, I think, use it a lot for their fan engagement, and I think was it Ronaldo who gets paid part of his salary on Chili's as well. So they do a lot of cool stuff. Maybe something that for us to keep in mind, I think.
Yeah. Just to touch on that, I'm not sure if all of you guys have been following, just with Ion Icon as well. They done an episode on it last week with some Metric X version 3 is being launched. It's not too long on the corner, but basically they're going to be gamifying Icon with that.
Oh yeah.
So they're going to with that essentially, you're going to gain points for different tasks. So it might be provide liquidity to balance or take out a loan on OMM. And basically, as you earn your points, you can upgrade to different NFTs. So yeah, I mean, if anyone's interested, I think it was last week, Ion Icon done, a video on that. So there is going to be, some form of gamifying coming onto Icon. But yeah, I do like the idea because it kind of does incentivize, kind of draws people in. So yeah, it's a good idea.
And I think
Try, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think you guys are starting, and the ICX ecosystem is basically, it's basically in the beginning. Like if we have a long term view, so if you guys get the market share with something fun and something unique, I think that's how you win the battle on the DeFi war. Like, make me come back to you. I know, the first thing is rewards, right? If you give me, 1,400 rewards in my LP, I would definitely come back to you every day. But we know that doesn't gonna last. So we just need to get to the point that, hey, let me come back to Omm for this. And if you make me a customer because of something unique for an experience, could be an experience, could be gamifications, could be whatever it is, you would definitely win the battle of the come back to my DeFi rather than going to the Binance chain or going to Solana or going to Luna. So I think that's the game right there. Get the customer and retain it, and make the customer come back to you as much time as possible.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Like, I'm all for that. Maybe that's even something like if we go and make this community NFT project that we could implement here as well. I think that's awesome, and I agree. Like, all these projects that are getting these kind of that are gamifying things are getting a ton of engagement because it's fun, and you're right. It's like something that people want to do and something that people pay for. So, for instance, I bought these crypto dad NFTs, and I didn't really know exactly what they were, but they're doing some really cool things, like where they're giving away, they're engaging the actual dads of crypto and like, creating content around things that actual dads like and would do. So it's really kind of cool to see, like they're giving away a Ford Raptor truck to a pickup truck to somebody who owns one. And, I agree. Like, if we could find something to implement that keeps the user engaged, that'd be amazing. Pancake Swap has something like this where they just have a little, what is it? Every 5 minutes they do, you just guess the price if it's higher or lower on BNB. And I swear to God, I'll sit there for hours playing that game. Just harvesting yields and then playing that. So I agree, man. If we can get something like that, it'd be amazing. Yeah. So thank you. If you've got ideas, please.
Yeah, and this is something that's great for a community, for the DAO to kind of fund if the community, proposal that can come through. I think that's a good idea.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Guys, any more questions? Anyone has any other questions for the panel? I think I didn't realize we've gone close to almost 1 hour, 20 minutes. But I think thanks a lot, guys, for everyone's input. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks a lot, DK. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining in. Any last remarks, DK? Anything that you want to add before we end the session?
No, I think this is off to a good start. I think it would be great if we can continue these discussions in the governance channel, and then sure. I think these are like part of the discussions that we would want to have in the governance channel, and then obviously something that the community would love the community to be educated about in general. So, yep.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, guys, again, and hopefully, if there's any more questions, guys, the community members who are listening in, please shoot away on the governance channel, and we can start the discussions there. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining in.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye now.
Yeah, bye.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.